Kadosh, 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 Adon Elohai Tsevaot, Asher Haya Vehove Veyavo Lanetzach. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty, who was and is and will be forever. Kadosh, 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 Adon Elohai Tsevaot.
Hey, it's Christy again, and I'm here for another episode of Through Molten Glass. Today, I have a difficult subject that I want to discuss. A lot of Christians are not opposed to wearing a mask, but I am, and I want to let you know why. So, let's start by going into what the Bible says about submitting to authority. I did a quick search about it, and there's this openbible.info website, and it says it has 100 Bible verses about submission to human authority. Romans 13, 1 through 7 is getting quoted quite a bit. Let's read what it says. Let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and those that exist have been instituted by God. Therefore, whoever resists the authorities resists what God has appointed, and those who resist will incur judgment. For rulers are not a terror to good conduct, but to bad. Would you have no fear of the one who is in authority? Then do what is good, and you will receive his approval, for he is God's servant for your good. But if you do wrong, be afraid, for he does not bear the sword in vain. For he is the servant of God, an avenger who carries out God's wrath on the wrongdoer. Therefore one must be in subjection, not only to avoid God's wrath, but also for the sake of conscience. Hebrews 13:17. Obey your leaders and submit to them, for they are keeping watch over your souls, as those who will have to give an account. Let them do this with joy and not with groaning, for that would be of no advantage to you. Titus 3:1. Remind them to be submissive to rulers and authorities, to be obedient, to be ready for every good work. 1 Peter 5:5. Likewise, you who are younger, be subject to the elders. Clothe yourselves, all of you, with humility toward one another, for God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Acts 5:29. But Peter and the apostles answered, we must obey God rather than men. 1 Peter 2:13 through 25. Be subject for the Lord's sake to every human institution, whether it be to the emperor as supreme, or to governors as sent by him to punish those who do evil and to praise those who do good. For this is the will of God, that by doing good you should put to silence the ignorance of foolish people. Live as people who are free, not using your freedom as a cover-up for evil, but living as servants of God. Honor everyone, love the brotherhood, fear God. Honor the emperor. Now I want to read a couple of verses about only worshiping God. Exodus 34:14. For you shall worship no other God, for the Lord, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God. Exodus 20:1 through 3. And God spoke all these words, saying, I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. John 4:24. God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship in spirit and truth. Romans 12:1. I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. Luke 4:8. And Jesus answered him, It is written, You shall worship the Lord your God, and him only shall you serve. John 4:23. But the hour is coming, and is now here, when the true worshippers will worship the Father in spirit and truth, for the Father is seeking such people to worship him. 2 Timothy 2:15. Do your best to present yourself to God as one approved, a worker who has no need to be ashamed, rightly handling the word of truth. Hebrews 13:15. Through him, then let us continually offer up a sacrifice of praise to God, that is, the fruit of lips that acknowledge his name. I wanted to take a minute to tell you about why I chose Anchor to host my new podcast. To start off, it's free. Yep, free. And not free with a limited number of listens or free with a limited number of storage. It's free. Secondly, I can edit and record my podcast right from my phone, which is great because my laptop is about to explode. 3, Anchor distributes my podcast for me. They upload it to Spotify, they upload it to iTunes. I don't have to worry about it. They do it. And lastly, I'm trying to make a buck, and they let me do that right from the start. I don't have to have a minimum audience before I can start making money from all the listens that you guys are giving me. Thank you so much. So, to sum up, Anchor is everything that you need to make a podcast in one place. So you can download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Now let's get to the meat of these passages. What are they saying? Yes, government has been placed an authority over us to control crime, to control illegal actions, to keep people from getting away from cheating each other, lying to each other, or about each other, murdering each other, and basically all morality as defined by the Bible and the Ten Commandments are enforced by U.S. law. Can we agree on that? Yes? And I'm not talking about things in the law like stoning people for certain offenses. I'm not even going into that right now. I'm just talking about we can all follow the Ten Commandments, right? Alright, the first commandment though. Have no other gods before thee. So, what I was taught growing up is that I should submit to my parents' authority, to all authority, unless it caused me to sin. So this is what I've built my entire life on. Even now, I will submit to authority unless it causes me to sin. Now we're getting to some murky waters here. Does not wearing a mask cause you to sin? Is it a sin not to wear a mask, or is it a sin to wear a mask? Now, let's take a step back, because we're obviously not going to find direct guidance about this from the Bible. So we agree we should listen to authority as long as they're not causing us to sin, do something immoral, etc. Alright. Now, what the media would have us to believe, what we're told over and over again, is that our mask is meant to protect others. Right? If we're not wearing a mask, we might be A, infected by COVID, B, non-symptomatic, and C, infecting others inadvertently. So that's why we should wear a mask, because the assumption is that we're sick. We just don't know it. Which, let me just say, is a ludicrous thing to even suggest. Not even going to go into conspiracy-related stuff. I'm just saying with common sense, that's just exclude. I don't know how else to say this. It's just a blatant lie. Okay. So, here's another step. Let's take this a little deeper. I found this on Facebook, and I admit I don't personally know the person who wrote it, but he says, according to OSHA certification, if you're OSHA certified in how to wear masks, this is what they will teach you. There are N95 and P95 masks. They have exhale ports. They're designed to be worn in a contaminated environment. When you exhale, you are exhaling into the contamination. When you are inhaling, it filters the air. But they do not filter the air on the way out. So it's not going to protect other people. It's only going to protect yourself. All right, another kind of mask, a surgical mask. They're meant to be used in a sterile environment to keep you from sneezing or spitting into an open wound during surgery. Now, your mask is going to trap the air that you're breathing out against your face. It's going to get all humid and wet, and it's only safe to wear one of these masks for 20 to 30 minutes because by then it's going to be infected with mold and whatever you are sick with. So it's going to be contaminated, and then it will be a harm to other people. Are you changing your cloth mask every 20 to 30 minutes? I don't think so. But here's the kicker. The cloth mask, just like those other two masks that none of us are wearing, does not stop you from breathing out anything that's contaminated. So even if we presuppose that, like the media is telling us, that we are breathing out virus, your cloth mask doesn't stop that. It doesn't. It doesn't stop what you're breathing out from spreading. It just doesn't. In fact, it magnifies what you're breathing out and makes it more dangerous to yourself, not to mention the carbon dioxide. We need oxygen to live. If we have carbon dioxide trapped against our face, it's not healthy. We start to see bad side effects. I see it after 2 to 3 minutes. And that's partially because I have asthma, but it affects me all day long, if not up to 72 hours, anytime I put on a mask, which I hate doing, but I do for work and because I'm trying to be considerate of others, even though I don't believe in them. All right, moving on. What does the CDC say about wearing masks? Well, we can read this article that they wrote and published in May of 2020 called Non-Pharmaceutical Measures for Pandemic Influenza and Non-Healthcare Settings, Personal Protective and Environmental Measures. It was published by a bunch of people from the University of Hong Kong in China. Well, that's interesting because Asian people, I lived in Japan for almost 2 years, I know Asian people, they wear masks on the regular so they don't get sick from others, so they don't spread what they have personally if they have to travel on the train, which is very common there for people to not have a car, to only have a bike or use the train to get around. And maybe they just don't want to get bad allergies. That's another reason they wear the mask, to keep it from breathing in pollen. So this was my first exposure to wearing a mask, was in Japan. But according to this paper, if you scroll down to where it says face masks, I will read. In our systematic review, we identified 10 RCTs that supported estimates of the effectiveness of face masks in reducing laboratory-confirmed influenza virus infections in the community from literature published during 1946 to 2018. In pooled analysis, we found no significant reduction in influenza transmission with the use of face masks. One study evaluated the use of masks among pilgrims from Australia during the Hajj pilgrimage and reported no major difference in the risk for laboratory-confirmed influenza virus infection in the control or mask group. 2 studies in university settings assessed the effectiveness of face masks for primary protection by monitoring the incidence of laboratory-confirmed influenza among student hall residents for 5 months. The overall reduction in ILI, or laboratory-confirmed influenza cases, in the face mask group was not significant in either study. I could go on, but I think that's enough to get the idea across. The CDC says that masks don't help with the flu, and COVID is basically a bad flu or cold. So we're going to say, according to their own guidance, it's not helpful. And remember from the OSHA certification course that any infective air that you're breathing out just goes into the environment. If you have their special masks, it only filters the air going in. So why should they say that we should wear masks? What's the point? Why should we wear masks? It's not to stop any disease from spreading, COVID or otherwise. What could the real reason be? Last night, I decided to do a little research about occultism, celebrities, and musicians, which I suppose they're also celebrities, doing the one finger in front of their mouth, the all-seeing eye symbol, or obscuring one of their eyes. And these are all believed to be Illuminati symbols, basically. Ways to show that you're on the inside to others without talking about it. And looking at all these pictures just made me very down and disheartened, which is why I'm recording this following morning, because I decided I needed to sleep on this. And that's not really what I'm planning to go into exactly right now, other than pointing out that in all of those instances, they are obscuring parts of their body. Whether it's one of their eyes, their mouth, part of their face, they're obscuring things. Now, today I'm taking this a step further, and I was trying to do research about masks in satanic rituals or Luciferian rituals. And I'm going to read you a couple of the things I found. There is an article here in the newstatesman.com, a brief musing on the nature of satanic ritual. And it talks about Satanists wearing black robes during a ritual, with their faces concealed by the donning of animal masks. This ritual comes from a book called The Satanic Rituals, and it's known as Das Tira Drama. The rite was originally performed by the Order of the Illuminati, founded in 1776 by Adam Weishaupt, and the purpose of the ritual is for its participants to willingly assume the animalistic attributes of purity, honesty, and increased sensory perception. So you want to become more animalistic and change yourself in this ritual. Here is another story where in the spokesman.com where some Christians were protesting outside Spokane health officer's house about the state mask mandate, and one of the people at the protest said that the virus needs to run its course so the population will have herd immunity, which is if you even believe in such things. Moving on, here's a book called The Satanic Rituals, talking about the setting for a particular ceremony. It says, the celebrant and participants all wear masks or headpieces to blur or distort the true facial features. And here is a web page called eyeopeningtruth.com. The blog post entitled COVID-19 Satanic Ritual. And it was written June 29th, 2020, so a month ago. And it says that occult rituals are connected with masks, as well as ritual hand washing, ritual social distancing, and ritual lockdowns. They've connected this with Mystery Babylon, which I won't go into. You can read that if you're interested. But it says that the Surgeon General of the United States has openly stated that wearing masks has no beneficial effect whatsoever against coronavirus. Numerous medical experts have attested to the fact that face masks can be dangerous to one's health, and that they curtail clear thinking or even consciousness by trapping carbon dioxide in the chamber of the mask, forcing you to rebreathe it over and over, thus depleting your blood of fresh air and life-giving oxygen components. Masking has traditionally played a very important role in occult rituals. Among other things, the wearing of a mask over one's mouth is a token of submission, a gesture of your willingness to be subject to others who are not your usual sovereign. According to the Encyclopedia Britannica, mask wearing is a form of disguise or concealment, usually worn over or in front of the face to hide the identity of a person and by its own features to establish another being. The wearing of a mask represents an occult transformation, a human alchemy, if you will, from one role to another, from one manner of being to another. Indeed, in this case, from individual sovereign under God to collective subject under the children of the devil. So, the nature of our country, America, is that all men are created equal. The government has limited powers that only we the people can give them. And that our number one right, our First Amendment, is freedom of religion. But do you hear people talking about masks in this way? Because me being forced to wear a mask is, by definition, infringement upon my religious freedom. I should not have to wear a mask for medical reasons, because of my asthma, because I'm human and I need air to breathe. I need oxygen. I don't need carbon dioxide. But even deeper than that, I do not want to be affiliated with something satanic or Luciferian in any way. Because I am not going to submit to any God other than my own God, who I like to refer to as Yahweh. Some people call Jehovah, the God of the Old Testament and the New Testament. He is the one that I worship, and Him alone. I am going to conclude by reading another passage of Scripture from Daniel 3. This is one of my favorite stories in the Bible. And I think that it is pretty applicable to what's going on today. Daniel 3. King Nebuchadnezzar made an image of gold, whose height was 60 cubits, and its breadth 6 cubits. He set it up on the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. Then King Nebuchadnezzar sent to gather the satraps, the prefects, the governors, the counselors, the treasurers, the justices, the magistrates, and all the officials of the provinces to come to the dedication of the image that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Then the satraps, the prefects, the governors, the counselors, the treasurers, the justices, the magistrates, and all the officials of the provinces gathered for the dedication of the image that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up, and they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. And the herald proclaimed aloud, "You are commanded, O peoples, nations, and languages, that when you hear the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, harp, bagpipe, and every kind of music, you are to fall down and worship the golden image that King Nebuchadnezzar has set up. And whoever does not fall down and worship shall immediately be cast into a burning, fiery furnace. Therefore, as soon as the peoples heard the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, harp, bagpipe, and every kind of music, all the peoples, nations, and languages fell down and worshipped the golden image that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Therefore, at that time, certain Chaldeans came forward and maliciously accused the Jews. They declared to King Nebuchadnezzar, "O king, live forever. You, O king, have made a decree that every man who hears the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, harp, bagpipe, and every kind of music shall fall down and worship the golden image. And whoever does not fall down and worship shall be cast into a burning, fiery furnace. There are certain Jews whom you have appointed over the affairs of the province of Babylon." We know those 3 names, and I'm not going to say them here. I'll tell you in a second. "These men, O king, pay no attention to you. They do not serve your gods or worship the golden image that you have set up." So, slight aside here. The reason I do not want to use their 3 names is because their names were changed in Daniel 1. For some reason, we still call Daniel by his original name, which means God is my judge. But the other 3, we call them by their new Babylonian names. Their original names: Hananiah, Lord is gracious. His name was changed to inspired by Aku. Mishael, who is like God, his name is changed to belongs to Aku. Aku is a moon god. Alright, Azariah, God has helped. His name is changed to servant of Nego or Nebo, and that was their god of wisdom. Daniel's name was changed to the treasure of Baal. So I don't like to use their names because their names are Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Not the other 3 that we know them by. So, going on in Daniel 3:11. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in furious rage, commanded that Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah be brought. So they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar answered and said to them, "Is it true, O Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, that you do not serve my gods or worship the golden image that I have set up?" Now if you are ready, when you hear the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, harp, bagpipe, and every kind of music, to fall down and worship the image that I have made, well and good. But if you do not worship, you shall immediately be cast into a burning, fiery furnace. And who is the God who will deliver you out of my hands? Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need to answer you in this matter. If this be so, our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning, fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of your hand, O king. But if not, be it known to you, O king, that we will not serve your gods, or worship the golden image that you have set up. And we know what happens. Nebuchadnezzar throws these 3 men into the furnace. The men that put them in the furnace die from the heat. But the 3 men, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, they don't die. In fact, they are seen walking about with the 4th person, who is the pre-incarnate Jesus. And they survive the fire. And Nebuchadnezzar calls them out. Nebuchadnezzar calls them out of the flames, and they have survived, and you can't even smell smoke on their clothing. That is amazing. I love this story so much. Now, I submit to you, should we wear a mask to put others at ease when it does nothing? It doesn't make you safer. In fact, it makes you less healthy. It doesn't protect other people. It does nothing to stop them from getting sick at all, even if you were infected. And wearing a mask is associated with something that is clearly not the will of God. He doesn't want you to take away the authority that you have submitted to him and instead give it to his greatest enemy. Does he? Does he want you to submit to Satan? Or I should say, the being that we call Satan. But I'm not going to get into that today. So, my response, I really want to say the same thing as these 3 men and follow their example. I want to say, I have no need to answer you in this matter. God, whom I serve, is able to deliver me from coronavirus, and he will deliver me out of your hands, O legalistic person who wants to put their will on me, O Walmart employee, O police officer, O governor. But even if I do get coronavirus, let it be known to you, O governor, that I will not serve your gods or worship this almighty coronavirus that you have set up. God is able to deliver me. And even if he doesn't, I still am going to follow him instead of any government official who wants me to put on a mask. Thank you for listening. And hopefully we'll have a new episode up that's more flat earth related and less political very soon. I'm thinking that I'll have 2 episodes this week. But if not, see you next week, and God bless. Goodbye. Thank you for listening to Submission to Authority, this week's episode of Through Molten Glass. I appreciate any support that you could offer me, whether it be prayer or financial. You can reach my Patreon at patreon.com/geekness. My PayPal is www.paypal.me/geekness. Or I also have a Ko-fi that's ko-fi.com/geekness. Geekness is spelled GEEKNS. If you would like to contribute to my next episode, you can leave me a voice message or email me at my email address is geekness@protonmail.com. That's geekness@pm.me. Thank you.